Imagine standing in a stadium packed with 50,000 people, holding your breath, waiting for the music to drop, but instead of cheers, you are met with a chilling, oppressive silence. This wasn't a nightmare. This was the reality for Girls' Generation in 2008 during the infamous Black Ocean incident, a moment that nearly ended the group before they even had a chance to become the legends we know today. While the history books love to talk about their meteoric rise and the nation's girl group title, the reality was far grittier. The industry was hostile, the fans were aggressive, and the pressure was suffocating. To understand the controversies that plagued Girls' Generation, you have to look past the glitz and see the sheer amount of toxicity they had to wade through just to survive. It started almost immediately. When SM Entertainment debuted these 9 girls, they weren't welcomed with open arms. They were met with suspicion and absolute vitriol from the fan bases of their seniors. The Black Ocean was the first major scandal, not because of something the girls did wrong, but because of what they represented, a threat to the established order. At the Dream concert in 2008, fan bases of other major groups, reportedly including those of TVXQ and Super Junior, coordinated a silent protest. While Girls' Generation performed, the audience turned off their glow sticks and sat in silence. It was a power move designed to humiliate them. Rumors swirled at the time that the fans felt SM was pushing these girls too hard, utilizing media play to create rivalries that didn't need to exist. The atmosphere was so tense that afterward, violent scuffles broke out outside the venue. It was a terrifying introduction to the industry, and it set the tone for a career defined by intense scrutiny. People forget that for the first 2 years, Girls' Generation was arguably the most hated group in Korea. The public didn't see precision or blueprints. They saw 9 girls being shoved down their throats by a massive corporation. But as the group gained traction with G, the narrative shifted from industry hate to internal chaos, and this is where the rumors really started to fester. The Soshi Bond was the marketing term SM used to sell their sisterhood, but fans on forums like All Kpop and Soompi were constantly dissecting every interaction, looking for cracks in the armor. The earliest and most persistent controversy surrounded the alleged bullying of member Jessica Jung. For years, netizens analyzed compilation videos of the girls on variety shows, zooming in on Crystal Jung, Jessica's sister, apparently ignoring Taeyeon, or Jessica looking isolated during group huddles. It became an obsession. Was it just playful sibling rivalry, or was there a genuine line drawn in the sand between the ice princess and the leader? The fans couldn't believe how deep the division went. People speculated that the group was splitting into cliques, Taeyeon and Tiffany tight as thieves, while Jessica and the others floated on the periphery. It wasn't just gossip, it was a narrative that haunted them, painting the picture of a group that was perfect on stage but fractured behind the scenes. The scrutiny on their personal lives eventually boiled over in 2014, a year that K-pop historians look back on as the implosion of the Hallyu wave. The first domino to fall was Hyoyeon. In early 2014, news broke that she had been brought into a police station regarding an alleged assault. The headlines were screaming that a Girls' Generation member had attacked someone. The reality was messy and bizarre. It was reported that she had been joking around with a male friend, playfully hitting him, and he had called the police, either as a prank or out of anger. The media had a field day. Drunken mishap, violent outburst, the ambiguity was damaging. For a group built on the image of perfection and poise, having a member involved in a police investigation over an assault, even a minor one, was a SM Entertainment tried to sweep it under the rug, but the public was already whispering, were the girls starting to crack under the pressure? Then came the summer from hell. Just as the Hyoyeon incident was fading, Tiffany found herself at the center of a massive cultural controversy. In July 2014, on the reality show Fashion King, Tiffany made a comment about her styling, saying she wanted to look like a Japanese doll, while wearing a style that viewers associated with colonial imagery. Given the tense history between Korea and Japan, and the specific timing of the show's filming, netizens exploded. She was accused of being insensitive to Korea's painful history under Japanese occupation. It seemed like a small thing, but in the hypersensitive world of K-pop, it was a detonation. She was labeled thoughtless and un-Korean. The backlash was so severe that she had to issue a public apology. The American connection, which SM had marketed as her unique selling point, suddenly became her biggest liability. Fans felt betrayed. Antis used it as proof that the group had lost touch with their roots. It felt like the group was bleeding from 1,000 cuts. But nothing, absolutely nothing, could have prepared the industry for September 30th, 2014. This is the date that shattered the Soshi Bond mythos forever. We all remember waking up to the notification that Jessica had been removed from the group. It wasn't a graduation, separation, it wasn't a mutual agreement. It was a removal. The statement from SM was cold and calculated, citing conflicts with her fashion business, Blanca Leclerc. But Jessica's own Weibo post, which dropped like a bombshell just hours before the official announcement, told a different story. She claimed she was forced out. "I was given an unjustified notification by the agency to leave Girls' Generation," she wrote. "It was a public declaration of war between the artist and the company, and by extension, between Jessica and the remaining 8 members. The fallout was catastrophic. The internet went into a meltdown. Fans were forced to pick sides. Was Jessica selfish for prioritizing her business over the group, or were the other 8 members jealous and complicit in kicking her out?" Rumors began to swirl that Taeyeon specifically had played a role in the decision, fueled by years of Tangsik shipping wars and alleged tension. The narrative that took hold was ugly. The group had chosen to sacrifice one of their own to preserve their brand. The sisterhood was dead. When the group continued promotions as 8, the atmosphere was icy. You could see the tension in their eyes during interviews. They were professional, yes, but the magic was obscured by a dark cloud of betrayal. The public reaction was visceral. People felt lied to. They had bought into the idea that these girls were family, and now they were watching a very public divorce play out on social media. The controversies didn't stop there. As if 2014 hadn't been punishing enough, the group's behavior at the Mnet Asian Music Awards Mama later that year sparked another massive scandal. During 2NE1's performance of Crush, a camera panned to Girls' Generation in the audience. Instead of cheering or looking engaged, several members appeared to be yawning, checking their nails, or looking bored. Netizens interpreted this as arrogance. The headlines read, "Girls' Generation disrespects juniors." It was a bad look. The public narrative shifted from sympathy for their lineup change to criticism of their attitude. They looked like divas who didn't care about anyone else. The contrast between their nation's girl group title and their apparent lack of sportsmanship was jarring. It felt like the group was spiraling, lashing out in a year defined by controversy. In 2016, Tiffany found herself in the crosshairs again, and this time it was bad enough to get her edited out of a television show. On Korea's Liberation Day, a day celebrating the end of Japanese occupation, Tiffany posted a Snapchat story that included the rising sun flag emoji, a symbol deeply offensive to Koreans, akin to the swastika in the West. The timing was the worst possible. She had just finished her solo debut, and the backlash was instant and brutal. Netizens demanded she leave the industry. It wasn't just a mistake. It was seen as a historical ignorance that was unforgivable for a Korean celebrity. SM Entertainment went into damage control mode, and Tiffany eventually took a hiatus from the group to reflect in the US. It was a stark reminder that despite years of training, these idols were still fallible humans who could make disastrous errors in judgment. The industry does not forgive easily, and Tiffany became the target for a nation's anger regarding historical sensitivity. Even in their later years, the shadow of controversy followed them. When the group moved to different agencies after their contracts with SM expired in 2017, fans were frantic. Was this the end? The departure from SM felt like a betrayal to some fans who had associated the group with that specific label. Then there were the constant dating rumors. From Yuna's public relationship with Lee Seung-gi to Taeyeon's tumultuous dating history with Baekhyun of EXO, which sparked its own mini-war between fandoms, the idea of the pure, dedicated idol was shattered again and again. Every time a dating scandal broke, it felt like a chunk of the fandom would fracture off, disillusioned by the reality that these girls were living lives separate from the Soshi persona. The tragedy of Girls' Generation isn't that they had scandals, it's that the industry set them up to fail by demanding perfection in an imperfect world. They were expected to be sisters, patriots, and idols 24/7. When Jessica left, it wasn't just a member leaving, it was the collapse of a decade-long marketing lie. When Tiffany messed up, it wasn't just a mistake, it was a betrayal of national identity. The controversies surrounding them are a testament to the immense pressure of the K-pop machine. They survived the Black Ocean, the bullying rumors, the police reports, the flag scandal, and the most shocking lineup change in K-pop history. But they didn't come out unscathed. The pristine image SM crafted in 2007 was eventually replaced by a much more complex, bruised, and human reality. We look at them now as icons, but we shouldn't forget the chaos they had to navigate to get there. The blueprint they created wasn't just about music, it was about survival in an industry that is constantly waiting for you to trip up, and in the end, that might be their most significant legacy of all.